Test 1 2, test 1 2. Excuse me, Mr. Finn Balor. I would like for you to listen to the words that are about to come out of my mouth. And I want everybody to listen to what I have to say here. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. Mr. Balor, I and everybody else would like to see the following. Do not show up to Chase Field at the Royal Rumble and stand in the ring facing Brock Lesnar, eye to eye, if you're not dressed as the Demon. That is all I asked. That is all I want. Being that we are in the dilemma that we are in right now on Monday Night Raw. Everybody would like to see it. And I think it would be the appropriate time to bring back not only the Demon, but the Finn Balor that we have sorely missed, that we have really wanted back ever since the days of NXT, the guy that we all looked upon to be the face of this brand, a guy who should have been quite easily a multi-time champion on this show, completely wasted away. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's WWE's fault. It's Vince McMahon's fault. And we're going to go over everything about why I think Finn Balor is now the recipient of a Universal Championship match at the second biggest show of the year against Brock Lesnar, of all people. So, Mr. Balor, please do not show up in Phoenix without some face paint. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Man, Monday Night Raw was quite newsworthy tonight. I was going to save the review for tomorrow morning, but I cannot contain myself. I have to get all these thoughts off my brain immediately. So we're going to dive right into it, man. This was a very, very newsworthy Monday Night Raw. Nothing was different out of the ordinary week. It was just WWE putting an exclamation point on the fact that they needed a challenger for the Universal Championship. And Braun Strowman, no matter if you love him or you hate him, he's just not the guy. He's just not the guy. And we're going to go over all that today on the podcast. Now, if you guys missed anything that I did earlier in the weekend, or over the weekend, I should say, make sure you guys go and check everything out. There's 5 hours of content for you guys, including Off the Script, which was episode 256, parts 1, 2, and 3, and then a 1-hour review of the fantastic NXT TakeOver UK show from Blackpool, England. We went over all that with Pete Dunne retaining the title in a great match against Joe Coffey. The ending was a little fucked, but a great match nonetheless. Toni Storm, Bay, won the UK Women's Championship, and one of the best matches that I'm sure we will see all year. We've seen the grizzled young veterans become the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions against Mustache Mountain in the finals of that tournament. So make sure you guys go and check all that stuff out. If you guys missed earlier today, I played Resident Evil 2, the remake. So make sure you guys go and check that out. We premiered that on YouTube today. Really, really fun stuff. I can't wait to get my hands on the full game. But if you guys missed any of that stuff, link will be in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of your screen. Now, I want to read 2 particular news items that were reported earlier in the day before Monday Night Raw. The first is something that I was going to save for Off the Script, but apparently they fast-tracked this thing into oblivion, and I'm going to report it for you guys right now. This is from Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer Live. He noted how great it was to see Finn Balor wrestle in Blackpool. Now, it was fantastic seeing Finn Balor in Blackpool. There was a renowned energy about him, and there was just this liveliness to him. And there was no crotch shot, by the way. There was no crotch shot at all on Finn Balor. I guess literally. Kevin Dunn wasn't there, I'm assuming, because there was no crotch shot of Finn Balor, which really takes away from his character. Really. This is the guy that we all want to see dress up as the demon to fight Brock Lesnar. Meanwhile, they're doing crotch shots with regular human Finn Balor. I don't know if he's an underwear model or a fucking unearthly creature from another dimension. I don't fucking know, man. But regardless, there was no crotch shot. There was a liveliness to him, an intensity to him. There was a genuine smile. And I guarantee you, if we took the microscope or any object of that nature and we looked deep inside Finn Balor, we would see that his heart was smiling as well. Because he was happy to be pretty much home, and he was happy to be a part of the NXT brand. That was a Finn Balor that we haven't seen since his days as NXT champion down at Full Sail University. Now, he noted it seemed like Prince Devitt was once again back amongst us. Even though Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Live that Balor is in for a big push, it's doubtful we will see this kind of intensity from Balor on the main roster. He says, and I quote, he's going to get a big push because there are things in the work for Finn Balor. But I don't think he'll ever be that Finn Balor again on the main roster. I could be wrong, but he was a totally different guy at NXT UK TakeOver. It was awesome. End quote. Now, this rejuvenated Finn Balor needs to continue to be a thing. Now, I find this very humorous, by the way, that Finn Balor is now reportedly scheduled for a huge push. You know, a lot of people are wondering, JD, why is Finn Balor all of a sudden getting a push for the Universal Championship? Well, let me educate you all, my dear friends. I have it right here in my notes because that's all I did during this on and off boring Monday Night Raw. Now, look at the Monday Night Raw main event scene. Everyone from Seth Rollins, Bobby Trashley, Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, they've been destroyed due to inconsistent booking and 50-50 booking, right? I guess that could go with the inconsistent booking. They don't find value in anybody. Look at the men that they presented to us tonight alongside Finn Balor. These are men that they somehow want us to believe in and want us to believe stand a chance against Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Baron Corbin, really? What the fuck has Baron Corbin done since he was fired as GM on Monday Night Raw? I don't get it. What has he done to even come out there and ask for a Universal Championship match? Or a championship match in general? It could be for the fucking hardcore title. The guy he doesn't deserve shit. He doesn't deserve shit, let alone lobby for a fucking title match. Unreal, right? So we got Baron Corbin, garbage. Drew McIntyre, listen, I have nothing bad to say about Drew McIntyre. I love Drew McIntyre. I think he's great. He's going to be a future champion on this brand, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown, regardless. But I honestly don't think right now is the right time to put your stock in Drew McIntyre. I don't think it's his time to even come close to the title, let alone just go into the Royal Rumble and beat Brock Lesnar and all of a sudden become the man on Monday Night Raw. You have to have WrestleMania in the back of your mind. You got to picture Drew McIntyre as the Universal Champion. And if he is the Universal Champion, and he was the one tonight that they chose to go fight Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, become champion, you would have to wonder who would be a great opponent right now for Drew McIntyre. There literally is no one on the brand that I want to see go up against Drew McIntyre for the Universal Champion. If he beat Brock Lesnar, if he was the one appointed tonight, which he wasn't, to go fight Brock Lesnar and beat Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre would go into WrestleMania as the Universal Champion. Who would be his ideal opponent? We've seen literally every concoction of a match on Monday Night Raw with Drew McIntyre. Dolph Ziggler, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. It doesn't really make sense to put the title on him. It doesn't make sense. Either there is a shakeup and then Drew has a fresh slew of new opponents, or he moves over to SmackDown Live and challenges for the WWE Championship. And that's the title he ends up winning. I just don't think it's his time yet. And I stand firmly behind that. Some of you might not agree with me on that, but I'm standing firmly behind that. Now, John Cena was the other one. Do I need to say anything about John Cena? I mean, John Cena's a great promo. That's all I could say about John Cena right now. Are you excited to see John Cena back on Monday Night Raw? John Cena's only there because he's John Cena. The dude's part-time. The dude is fucking part-time. That alone should tell you how miserable the main event scene is on Monday Night Raw. I don't need to dive into that anymore. Finn Balor? I love Finn Balor. I was a huge Finn Balor guy in NXT. I couldn't wait for him to make the main roster. I thought this guy was going to be the face of this company, the way that they pushed him. So after so many struggles, after literally being stripped and wasted on the main roster, they stripped him of the demon. They made him into some fucking walking toothpaste ad. They just really pussied him up. If you really want me to be blunt with you, they made Finn Balor into a fucking smiling pussy. And I mean that not in a negative way, not in a way to deter Finn Balor. That is the God's honest truth. They made Finn Balor into a fucking pussy. This is a guy that you're going to look upon to stand face to face with Brock Lesnar? I don't get people. They wasted him. They wasted him in every which way. And Finn Balor, all of a sudden now, is getting a Universal Championship match. Why do you think that is? The guy didn't even come close to winning a title in WWE. U.S. title, Intercontinental title, a tag team title, a women's title. Whatever fucking title. The title of whitest fucking teeth is the only title that he's fucking got. Now, all of a sudden, he's getting a championship match. The first month of the year, the first show of the year, which is coincidentally the second biggest show of the entire fucking year. Now Finn Balor is standing face to face with Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Why do you think that is, people? This is WWE's attempt, desperate attempt, to A, show up All Elite Wrestling and show the Elite, Cody, Matt, Nick, Hangman, Kenny, who is, I'm sure, Balor is friends with all of them. I'm sure Finn Balor is friends with all of them. To show up the Elite and pretty much say, and I quote, "Look, your friends love it here. They are being treated the right way. No reason to defect to go join you in Jacksonville." Or B, because they know if they have an entire roster of disgruntled wrestlers being wasted with the talent of Balor, a guy like that, if his contract is up and doesn't opt to resign and then goes to AEW, how many people he would bring just based off the influence he has over everybody to go join him in AEW. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why Finn Balor is being pushed the way he is right now, literally out of nowhere, is to show up AEW. Vince, whether you want to believe it or not, is A, desperate, and B, feeling the heat. Vince is feeling the pressure from All Elite Wrestling being announced. And if you don't believe me, you are an ignorant fucking fool. Because Finn Balor right now, after everything we've seen this guy go through in the last 2 fucking years, probably longer than that, when he came back from his injury, has done absolutely fucking nothing on this show. Nothing. Now, all of a sudden, we are to believe that this guy is worthy of challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. I don't get people's logic. Because the way I see it right now, Brock Lesnar's going to wipe the floor with this fucking guy and use him as a toothpick after the fucking match is over. Now, if this was NXT Balor, I could see maybe a Daniel Bryan aura about him. And that's another one of my points. Well, JD, Daniel Bryan stood toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar. Well, Daniel Bryan is here, and Finn Balor is here. Give me a break. There's not even a fucking iota of a chance you're going to compare the two. Now, Finn Balor, like I mentioned, didn't even come close to a fucking IC title run. You know that I have the fucking idiots all night telling me I am wrong about this AEW shit, and we all know that Vince is feeling the pressure. It's just not Balor, people. It's just not Finn Balor. Look up and down the roster. You think it's out of a coincidence that Vince woke up one day and realized, oh, I have Apollo Crews. Let's push this simple, plain black man on Monday Night Raw tonight. They call him the human highlight reel. What highlight reel? What is he doing that is out of the ordinary? What is he doing that I'm not looking, that I'm not seeing from a Seth Rollins or a Ricochet? Human highlight reel. What is he? The fastest to eat an entire cheesecake in Titus Catering? Is that his highlight? Apollo Crews being used all of a sudden on Monday Night Raw, getting all of a sudden more TV time. The Revival. Not only that, but they have hashtag FTR on their fucking tights. I wonder where they got that from. The Club, Gallows and Anderson on SmackDown Live. Guys have not seen the light of day on SmackDown Live. Now all of a sudden in the last month they've been used on 2 shows. That's a step up from 0. It's not a coincidence, people. WWE didn't wake up and say, oh, look at all this plethora of talent we have. Let's use them. No, because everybody in WWE realizes with the opening or the soon-to-be opening of AEW that a lot of guys who have not been used, who can go over there and receive the same fucking payday, which Chris Jericho said they gave him the best contract that he's ever received in pro wrestling. So if Jericho is on record saying that, what do you think that's going to do with the rest of the locker room in WWE? All their ears immediately perked up. Fuck, I'm not being used over here. Let me go over there. Maybe they'll fucking treat me the right way and treat me with respect. It's not coincidence, people. Balor is among those. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe Finn Balor. Right? Give me a fucking break. It's ridiculous. The main event scene on this show is completely fucking garbage. Rollins, Trashley, I'm sorry, for all the fucking trashly elitists out there. The guy's got the guy's got such negative charisma. I could go down to the Chinese restaurant. How many times have I said this? Use this same analogy. I could go down to the fucking Chinese restaurant that's a block away from my apartment. I can order a box of white rice, and I could look at it, and I could come to the realization that, you know what? This box of white rice has more charisma than fucking Bobby Lashley. Garbage. Baron Corbin, Trashley, Strowman, Balor. Look at this main event scene on this show. This is something that needs to be addressed immediately following WrestleMania. Because I cannot bear to stand this main event scene anymore. It is absolutely in shambles. Everything on Monday Night Raw is in shambles. Their main event scene, their tag team wrestling situation, their women's division. It's all garbage. It is all fucking garbage. Now, another thing I don't like about this. Actually, let me start off with a positive here. Let me start off with a fucking positive. Now, Monday Night Raw overall was pretty much the same shit that we see every week, but they did one thing that we rarely see nowadays. They entered a program at the 8 o'clock hour. They took a situation that needed to be addressed. They came up with a storyline that pretty much proceeded throughout the show. They made it a big deal, and it led to a big main event that actually had meaning for the Royal Rumble. That I will give them. That I appreciate. Does that happen often? No. Do I expect it to happen next week? No. I really don't. But the thing I don't like about all of this is that WWE puts wrestlers in a position where they don't belong in that position to begin with, and the way that they have destroyed everybody's credibility on this show, how are we supposed to believe anybody is worthy of a title shot at all? Wins and losses don't mean anything on this show. Balor was being buried in late 2018, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for the Universal Championship. Jinder Mahal is a complete waste of fucking payroll. And this guy is lobbying with Vince McMahon personally that he deserves a title shot? I mean, how is this shit coming across on my television? Why is this on TV? Why was this scripted into the program? I don't get it. Finn Balor, Jinder Mahal. You're trying to relay to the audience that these guys deserve a title shot, but they've realistically done nothing throughout the entire year. Unless you think your fucking audience has dementia or Alzheimer's. I don't ever remember seeing Finn Balor or Jinder Mahal do anything to earn a title shot. Give me a fucking break with this show. Now, I'm not saying that these guys couldn't be believable, but the company has thrown their entire roster to the wolves for one reason or another, whether it is for the Roman Reigns agenda and getting him over, the reformation of the Shield to then protect Roman Reigns, creative indifference, 50-50 booking. Literally, no one on this show has been built up on a consistent level to even look at least 10% credible against Brock Lesnar. And everybody's like, oh, Raw is great, Raw is different, Raw is giving you a new. Gotta appreciate the effort for them starting the show in a different manner, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here diving into the aspects that no one else is going to talk about. The issues that really are the reason why this show sucks. And why I can't wait for All Elite Wrestling to be on Tuesday nights on TNT or TBS, depending on which one they sign with. People, you got to open your eyes, man. You got to open up your eyes. I don't really understand people's logic. And then they come at me and they attack me, they criticize me. Oh, JD, you're so negative. You're so negative, man. What am I telling you that is so out there and so outlandish that you can't sit there with a straight face, listen to me, and say, well, you know what? This guy's got some fucking logic behind him. He's got some common sense going on here. I dig this. With that being said, Finn Balor is now the number one contender for the Universal Championship. Do you want to know why, on top of everything else that I just mentioned here? With that being said, mixed with the fact that Finn Balor was the only guy to fight twice tonight, on top of looking Vince McMahon directly in the face and telling him, you know what, Vince, you never believed in me. It made for a predictable setting. So you knew where this was going immediately when Finn Balor uttered the words, Vince, let's be honest, you never believed in me. Then he proceeded to fight twice. He beat Mahal, which I don't even know why the fuck he was there. They tried to make Jinder Mahal look credible. I mean, give me a fucking break. And then he beats Mahal, and then he goes on to the main event. And the only guy in that main event to fight twice in this one evening. So if he didn't win, it would have been a complete waste of the entire show. People, you got to open up your eyes. You got to open up your eyes. Now, the other story that was floating around, again, from Brian Alvarez and WrestleVotes on Twitter. They made confirmation of it about an hour before the show. Now, we all know Braun Strowman needed to have his elbow cleaned out when he had some bone spurs. It was a minor surgery with a very minimal recovery time. However, he might not be ready for January 27th in Phoenix. He right now is not cleared to compete, but he returned to Raw last week, exposed himself as not being the guy that is worthy of a Universal Championship, and before the show took place tonight, was still booked to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Brian Alvarez noted as well on the Wrestling Observer newsletter, or live, Wrestle Observer Live, that WWE has another person in mind in case Strowman can't work the match. He also said that he doesn't think it's just a backup plan either. He says, and I quote, there's another name, and I don't think it's just a backup. End quote. Now, we didn't know who he was talking about. WrestleVotes also didn't reveal who this backup plan was. All they stated on Twitter was that Braun Strowman will be pulled from the Universal Championship match tonight, and there's going to be a big angle to find out who Brock Lesnar is going to fight at the Royal Rumble and who will replace Braun Strowman. So that's the way the show opened up tonight. The show actually opened up pretty decently. I'm not going to lie to you. It's the same shit with Braun Strowman, but what do you expect from a very, very, very one-dimensional monster who can literally do nothing else? The show started off by utilizing Braun Strowman the only way that you could, and it really made sense of the Royal Rumble main event, or the Universal Championship, rather. And it was a great way to get him out of the title picture. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. So Strowman makes his way to the ring, takes the microphone, and goes on about how Brock Lesnar has been scared of him for a while. He just won't admit it. Strowman says he hopes Lesnar is watching from his training camp because he's all healed up. And Baron Corbin is no longer in power. So, out comes Baron Corbin. Blah, 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 get these hands. Same shit. I'm sure Brock Lesnar's quivering in fear from the get these hands line. Now, Corbin comes out, and Strowman reminds everybody that Corbin got fired. And I want you to make mention, or I want to see people make mention of this, when Braun Strowman was chanting, get these hands, he reminded me very much of Ryback. Same thing Ryback used to do. Get these hands, feed me more. That's not really a great comparison, Mr. Strowman. You better be careful about how you motion your hands. Ryback was a failure. So you don't really want to mimic yourself after Ryback, the guy who is now on a disgruntled podcast, literally talking about nothing. Corbin says he will listen to every word he has to say, even if he has to stand up here all night. Please, God, no. We are about to endure a 3-hour Raw. Don't make it worse, Mr. Corbin. He taunts Strowman for his last match with Lesnar, saying that I could stand up here all for 5 minutes, and that would be longer than you were in your match last with Brock Lesnar. Ha, 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 ha. I'm sure Corbin would do even better. Corbin tells Braun to quit lying to the people. Now, the only ones lying here are the McMahons, because there's no change on this fucking show. But Braun is lying to the people because they believe in him. And believe it or not, there are people who still believe in the McMahons. That change is coming. You're a bunch of fucking fools. All he keeps doing is letting them down. Sounds like a fucking episode of Monday Night Raw. Corbin says Strowman can't defeat Lesnar. Corbin is focused on winning the Royal Rumble. You have no chance, man. You have no chance. And he's going somewhere where Strowman will never go, the WrestleMania main event. So, there's a big chase that ensues. Cameras cut backstage. We see Strowman looking for Corbin. The Singh brothers are standing where they normally stand on Monday night, by the catering area. And one of the Singh brothers, Sunil Singh, gets thrown over a catering table, wiping out whatever Titus was serving on this evening. I don't know what it was. Apparently, it was maybe breaded chicken breast with some collard greens. And we see Strowman continuing to look for Baron Corbin until he comes face to face with Elias. Now, Elias is sitting down as if he's panhandling on the streets of New York in the subway. And he's playing his guitar, and he's singing a song about where Strowman can find Baron Corbin. And I really enjoyed this, man, because it was just very unique. You know, and it played right into the Drifter character. I thought it was cool. You know, Strowman all of a sudden stopped everything that he was doing to listen to Elias and get this clue. And Elias, in song, told him where Baron Corbin was. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. The show opened up with Vince McMahon pulling into the parking lot of the arena, and he gets out of a limo. And he gets out of the limo, and he motions to his driver to come over and wipe the smudge that's on the car, because I'm sure it was just freshly cleaned. And he repeatedly tells the guy to wipe the fingerprint on it. Gives him a nasty look. Vince McMahon walks into the arena. So, where he went, I don't know, but when Corbin was running away from Braun Strowman and Braun Strowman stopped and listened to where Elias told him he would find him, the limousine was right there, the same limousine that Vince McMahon came out of. Elias stated that Corbin was in the backseat of the limousine. So Braun Strowman proceeds to slam on the limousine door. He can't open the door. It's locked. He looks in a random toolbox that's laying about, finds a lead pipe, breaks the window. Corbin is indeed inside. He rips the door off the limousine, glass all over the place. You got one fucking door hanging, destroyed on the fucking concrete. Corbin runs away, and Braun Strowman, after all that effort, says, "You better run away." And Baron Corbin runs away. So, All of a sudden, we see Vince McMahon come walking back, and his limousine is fucking destroyed. His limousine is destroyed. Looking at him. We go to commercial break. We get back, and Vince McMahon's facial expressions here were hilarious. So he goes on to say that, you're a hazard. You should have yellow caution tape wrapped around you. You're a fucking hazard. Vince says that this is going to cost Braun a fine of $100,000. Strowman says this piece of shit limo isn't worth $100,000. Vince says, all right, you want to raise your voice at me? You know that big Rumble match you got coming up with Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship? It's now off. Strowman obviously stands there just befuddled at what happened here, and Braun Strowman is taken out of the Universal Championship match. Lesnar does not have an opponent. Soon after, we get officials and security ushering Braun Strowman out of the arena. He's got his backpack full of gear. He is thrown out of the building. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. Everybody that reported this, from Alvarez to WrestleVotes, clearly they were in the right. They knew something that we all didn't before the show. But I can tell you right now that whatever we seen here tonight on Monday Night Raw was the actions of a healthy individual. Braun Strowman, there's no way anybody can convince me that Braun Strowman is still hurt enough to where he can't compete at the Royal Rumble. I honestly believe that Braun Strowman is on his way to being 100% healthy and that he would have been absolutely ready to go for the Royal Rumble. Whatever he did tonight, he also, by the way, let me backtrack a little bit before I get into my point. He flipped over the limousine after Vince McMahon told him he was not going to get his Universal Championship match. He flipped the limousine over. He physically, solo, lifted the limousine up and flipped it on itself. And that was pretty much it. Same old Braun Strowman. I'm the world's strongest man. I'm the monster among men. Whatever the fuck they're doing with him. Same shit. Destroying garbage. So we get Braun Strowman doing all this with supposed injuries. Tonight was the actions of a man who is on his way to being 100% healthy. Now, nobody will be able to convince me. If Braun Strowman was really hurt, he'd be out in a sling. He'd be tending to his arm. He wouldn't be able to lift his arm all the way up like he does for his pose. He wouldn't be lifting limousines. Now, give me a break. Give me a fucking break, okay? Somebody in the company realized that this Braun Strowman-Brock Lesnar match never made sense from the beginning. Because you can't have Braun Strowman... Let's theorize this for a second. Say for example, we did go to the Royal Rumble and get Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. You can't have Braun Strowman lose again. Every ounce of credibility, and he had zero to begin with. If he did lose, it would be in the negative. If he lost to Brock Lesnar again, the guy's career on Raw is over. Even if he went to SmackDown, there'd be no saving his credibility. It would take years to rebuild him up to where they had him before they turned him heel. So if Braun Strowman fought Brock Lesnar and lost, done. Couldn't have that outcome. Now, if you made Braun Strowman the Universal Champion and he did defeat Brock Lesnar, I don't see him as a guy, period, that is championship material. And don't fight me on this. I don't give a fuck if I have all these troll accounts come at me, telling me, oh, JD, what do you know? You're a narcissist. You're a know-it-all, man. With their Braun Strowman fucking avatar and their fucking Alexa Bliss header, right? All these fucking people, they got 4 followers and they're following 10,000 because they have no fucking friends in real life. All these fucking irrelevant accounts on social media. Braun Strowman is and never will be the guy on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live or in WWE in general. If they gave Braun Strowman the Universal Championship on Monday Night Raw, that is a step backwards, several steps backwards. Okay, Braun Strowman may be a once-in-a-lifetime type of athlete. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's athletic as fuck for a guy his size. He is physically enormous and impressive. Fine. But that type of wrestler in today's day and age absolutely does nothing for a show or for the viewer. I'm sorry. You want to talk about the NXT marks, right? Everybody calls me an NXT mark. Stick to your niche audience. NXT is for the marks, for the hardcore marks. Meanwhile, we all know that if WWE took a little from NXT and applied it to Monday Night Raw, the shows would be so much better. And if they did that on a consistent basis, the audience, I believe, will come. Braun Strowman caters to a very casual niche market. They don't expect anything out of him. They want to see him, oh, look, Daddy, look at how tall and fast Braun Strowman is, man. Look at the size of his beard, Daddy. You know? Those are the people that they fucking cater to. Now, I'm watching the fucking show. I cannot envision any day of the week Braun Strowman as a champion in WWE leading the charge for this era as the guy on a particular show. I'm sorry. Either someone in WWE came to the realization that this guy was just not it, that they know they failed with this guy, or Braun Strowman really outdid himself last week. He exposed himself to a point where they just got so fucking fed up with him, he forgot his lines, and it resulted in a Royal Rumble title match that he no longer has anymore. I don't know what to tell you. The writing was on the wall last week. The writing was on the wall last week with Braun Strowman. Him forgetting his lines, looking absolutely dumbfounded in a promo with Paul Heyman, it killed him. Because tonight did not resemble a guy that is injured. At all. You're not going to tell me that Braun Strowman is injured, or they're not going to report that this guy is injured and he's going to overturn a fucking limousine. Give me a fucking break. Braun Strowman is not the guy, and I stick to my guns that someone in WWE felt the same way. Whether it was Vince or whether it was somebody else. A mixture of people telling Vince, this guy is not it. The match didn't make sense. Any result there would have been catastrophic to Monday Night Raw. And this is why we got Finn Balor. Now, what do you do with Finn Balor winning the match tonight, the Fatal 4-Way, to go on and fight Brock Lesnar? I would not be surprised, and many people that I spoke to tonight are not surprised or will not be surprised. They're not convinced that Brock Lesnar is going to walk away the Universal Champion here. And you know what? I believe them. I am on their side in this issue with their statement. Because if you look at it, fine, we got Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble now. A match that Finn Balor has publicly stated he wanted. How this is going to end up, I don't know. It's much more intriguing than fucking Braun Strowman, I'll tell you that. So I'm not complaining in that aspect. But with all that Finn Balor has done, and the mysterious push out of nowhere that Finn Balor is getting now after the announcement of AEW, which is no coincidence again, by the way, you can't have Finn Balor do tonight and then go into the Royal Rumble and lose. What the fuck do you do with him then? What do you do with him then? He can't go in there and get destroyed. He loses, he gets pinned, and then he has nothing else to do on Monday Night Raw. I would not be surprised if WWE hot-shotted the title at the Royal Rumble and gives Finn Balor a Universal Championship win over Brock Lesnar. I would not be surprised. Now, the issue is making it fucking believable, and I hope that they have the proper people booking this fucking match or producing this match, but I would not be surprised if Finn Balor is the Universal Champion coming out of the Royal Rumble. They could go into the Elimination Chamber and Balor could lose it then. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But it certainly makes for an interesting situation. If Balor's the Universal Champion, who's going to win the Royal Rumble? Very interesting situation. WWE has really done a very good job at mixing things up for the Royal Rumble, keeping us guessing. But there's a lot of negative that could come with the wrong decisions if they don't act on it. You know, I told everybody that when WWE does something like this, they need to strike while the iron is hot. And I feel that if they don't strike here, it's going to result in Finn Balor completely being irrelevant on Monday Night Raw. And I hope that they don't do that. Because I honestly think a lot of people, if you polled them and asked them, who would you want to walk out the Universal Champion at the Royal Rumble? I think a lot of people are in favor of Finn Balor walking out as the champion. It's going to be very interesting to see. But as far as the show goes, they did the right thing in getting Braun Strowman out of there. He was not the guy. This was not the match people wanted. I'm hearing Royal Rumble tickets are selling very poorly, that they're doing a 2-for-1 deal now on tickets for the Royal Rumble. I don't know if that has any issue here or if that's going to factor into this. Maybe they changed it up to really spice up the card and gives people a different option. I don't know. It goes back to what I talked about on part 3. Nobody literally on this entire show, Raw and SmackDown, no, I'm not going to forgive SmackDown here, nobody in the WWE is a draw. Nobody you do, or nobody you put in this position is going to draw people into the arena. There's not one single guy on Raw, SmackDown, and I'm going to include NXT, that is a draw. There's nobody on this fucking show, there's nobody in this company that people are coming out to willingly fucking pay to see. Because if they did, attendance numbers would be up, and this show would be an instant fucking sellout. There's no reason to do 2-for-1 tickets during the Royal Rumble of all fucking places. That's how many people are disenchanted with the goddamn product. Something's got to be done, man. Something's got to be done. A true switch up, a true change, a true new era needs to be instituted, because the way that this show is booked outside of what we seen tonight, it's the same fucking garbage every single week. Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed. Those were the big things on Monday Night Raw. That was one of the big things on Monday Night Raw. We're going to get into the other big thing as soon as we get on here, man. Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka. Now, first of all, I had no interest in seeing this match, period. Number 2, when the bell rung, I don't know how many people were paying attention, but I'm going to say it here again, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to say it every time she does this same thing, because she has shown me that she really doesn't care. Nia Jax is an absolute tragedy of a professional wrestler. Now, I'm not saying I could do it any better. I'm not going to get in the ring, and I'm not going to show her how it's done or anything like that. But I've been watching the WWE for over 30 years, and Nia Jax is absolutely one of the worst performers I have ever seen in all my 30 years of watching professional wrestling. I mean that wholeheartedly. There's one thing I ask for when I watch women's wrestling, and that is show me intensity. So many times women get in the ring and they don't show you any intensity. This is why I enjoy watching a Tessa Blanchard. This is why I enjoy watching an Asuka. This is why I enjoy watching a Sasha Banks or a Io Shirai or a Bianca Belair or a Nikki Cross or anybody in NXT, really. It looks like they have no handcuffs down in NXT. But Nia Jax, man, she looked like she didn't... That first exchange with Sasha Banks looks like she didn't even want to be there. Hitting the turnbuckle, just fucking very lax in the ring. Anything that this woman did came off as if she didn't fucking care. Then why is she there? Why is she constantly in the ring with Ronda Rousey if she doesn't care? God awful. And Tamina Snuka can join her in everything that I said there. The woman looks absolutely out of place in a professional wrestling ring. Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey win here. Banks' statement to Tamina Snuka with Rousey staring on at the apron. Now, after the match, this is where it really started to pick up. After the match, Rousey comes in to celebrate with Banks. Charlie Caruso comes into the ring and conducts an interview with the winning team. Rousey says they can team up because they trust each other. She says she will be honored to defend against Banks at the Royal Rumble, and says a win over Banks will be her biggest accomplishment yet as champion. Banks takes offense to this and is already putting her on her list of accomplishments. Rousey's already putting Banks on her list of accomplishments, pretty much saying that she's going to end up winning at the Royal Rumble. Rousey mentions making Banks tap out at the Royal Rumble. Banks takes offense to this again. Rousey says that's not what she meant. Banks then goes on about how she will face anyone at any time or any place and says it will be her honor to defeat Rousey and really give Rousey a lesson in class on how to lose. Now, Rousey says Banks can take the title of world's classiest loser because she doesn't want it. Banks asks if Rousey really called her a loser at this point, and Rousey went on and backtracked and says that's not what she meant. Banks fires back again and says the only loser will be Rousey at the Rumble when Banks takes her title back, and Rousey can bank on that. So Banks marches up the ramp, and Rousey follows after her like some fucking lovesick puppy. You know, Ronda is looking very weak in the build-up to this match. She's looking like a fucking charity case. Oh no, Sasha, I didn't mean it. I didn't want you to be mad at me. Let's talk about it over a cup of coffee. That's what I get from this Ronda Rousey aura. This is the baddest woman on the fucking planet, and you're backtracking against Sasha Banks. Meanwhile, Sasha Banks is looking like Sasha Banks of NXT. The last 2 weeks, we're starting to see a little bit. Not much, but a little bit of what made us love Sasha Banks in NXT. In your face, brash, direct. Honey, I'm coming for the title, okay? And right in your face. I'm not afraid of you. I'm the baddest bitch. I'm the boss here. I'm getting that vibe from Sasha Banks. Love her. So, the most telling thing about this is that Rousey went up the ramp and tried to talk to Sasha Banks. So, Banks doesn't want to hear it. Banks walks away and says this. She does this. And then Ronda Rousey gives it right back to her. What did I tell you on Off the Script, folks? Seeds are going to be planted. And if they're not, WWE, it's in their best interests to plant the seeds. There you go. It's going to be very interesting what's to come and how they're going to book the outcome of that match. After that, we see Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks yelling at each other in the back. It's not over yet, folks. It's not over yet. Natalya and Bayley are trying to calm things down. They send Banks and Rousey off to relax, to go blow off some steam. Bayley and Natalya are now arguing about who's to blame. You know, obviously Sasha is being defended by Bayley and Ronda is being defended by Nattie. Now, I thought that this was going to lead to a Nattie versus Bayley match, which I would have been fine with. And then all of a sudden, the Riot Squad interrupts and starts mocking both of them. They said that this is our business. I don't see why. I don't see how this is anybody in the Riot Squad's business. It's been their business for 52 fucking weeks in all of 2018. Can you move away from Bayley, please? So the match is made. Riot Squad versus Bayley and Natalya and a mystery partner. Yet, we're under the impression that a new era of Monday Night Raw is underway. So, we left 2018 with the fucking Riot Squad versus Bayley, Natalya, and a random female, and we're entering 2019 with the same fucking match. Can someone please tell me where the change is in all of this? I'd love to know. I'd love to know one single fucking human being with a functioning brain that is okay with this match happening again. Speaking of happening again, where's the change? Where is the change on this show? The Lucha House Party, again, versus the Revival. This is what we have to do to get back into title contention now? We got to beat the fucking Lucha House Party? I would rather than fucking place the piñata on a fucking rope hanging from the ceiling and blindfold one of them. Whoever breaks the fucking piñata gets a tag team title match instead of watching this shit again. I don't understand this shit. And then out of the piñata would come out an All Elite contract. Get the fuck off this show. I don't believe who is interested in watching this shit again, man. It's like the Revival. They're doing everything to push the Revival, but they're also at the same time, they're doing everything to fucking kill the Revival. Every fucking week. I want to see one person. I want to see one person tell me that the tag team division would not thrive on both shows if they merge the rosters. Merging the rosters is an absolute fucking necessity. an absolute necessity. I don't see how this is a thing. Really. The Revival win here. Apparently, at the end of the match, Grandma Talik takes Dawson down with a 2 count. I don't know what he did. He did some funny move off the fucking top rope, springboarder off the top rope. Cole wonders at this point if the referee made a bad call because Dawson barely kicked out. Dawson drops Metalik on his head for the win. Wilder got involved and pulled Metalik's foot off the bottom rope as the referee counted. So he had his foot on the rope. The match really should have continued, but you got Dash Wilder on the outside pretending as if that incident never happened. So, comeuppance for the Revival. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? The crowd obviously didn't care. They got not one fucking peep from the crowd, did the Revival. During the match, we cut backstage to Dasha Fuentes, Resident Android 9.0. They were outside Vince McMahon's office. Apollo Crews is with her during the match. They did a little window thing on the match. They showed you the match, and then they had a little old school window with Dasha Fuentes outside Vince McMahon's office. Apparently, everybody was lining up to lobby for a match against Brock Lesnar. In walks Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews is there being interviewed. He says it's crazy about how everyone lined up for a title shot. But that's how much they want to take the title off of Brock Lesnar. Now, I was confused at this point. I was really confused at this point. I honestly think that Apollo Crews got the line for Vince McMahon's office and the line for dessert in Titus Catering mixed up. Now, Titus was serving, I believe it was strawberry shortcake and a dollop of chocolate chip ice cream with some Cool Whip. Apollo mysteriously got lost and he ended up at Vince McMahon's office. All he wanted was a piece of strawberry shortcake and a dollop of fucking ice cream. Are you really trying to give me a belief that Apollo Crews deserves a fucking Universal Championship match? What could this man utter out of his mouth to convince Vince McMahon that he's going to put him in a match with Brock Lesnar? Is he going to give him fucking secret ingredients to some fucking fried chicken? Is he going to give him a secret ingredient to his fucking award-winning macaroni and cheese? What the fuck is this guy going to tell Vince McMahon about a Universal Championship match? Ridiculous. And it gets worse. Kurt Hawkins comes in. Kurt Hawkins is interviewed. And then all of a sudden we see Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, Rhino and Heath Slater. Maybe Dasha Fuentes got the fucking catering table mixed up with Vince McMahon's office. I don't fucking know. Maybe she was at the wrong fucking area in which they were conducting this interview. The most telling thing about this is that we see EC3. EC3 comes into frame. He doesn't say anything. He does not say anything, doesn't speak, and he just smiles. People on social media, oh, EC3, what a debut for him. He's ruined. I mean, he wasn't the only NXT talent on their show. I believe EC3 more than the other fucking guys they interviewed. He'll be in the Royal Rumble. He'll be in the Royal Rumble. Memphis didn't do him justice. Who the fuck is EC3 to these Memphis fucking people? They're worried about getting home to fucking milk the pigs. Revival win. Who cares? Who cares? The faster that they're out of WWE, the better AEW will be. Vince is in the ring. Comes out. People are cheering him. I don't know why. Before Vince can speak, John Cena comes out to another big reaction. Says we got some business to conduct here tonight. Vince goes to speak, but Cena interrupts him. I actually enjoyed this segment. I really did. Cena says, we all know Vince just lost a Universal title match on the biggest stage before WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble. Cena predicts Vince is out here to tell someone to step up. And Vince is nodding his head, smiling. But he will save Vince the time and the trouble. Cena says, 20 years ago, when guys like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I'm sure that brought a smile to Vince's face, brought a smile to all of our faces, actually brought back bad memories because, actually good memories because of how terrible this fucking show is. It's just bad thinking back in retrospect what the show was compared to what it is now, a complete fucking dumpster fire. Now, he mentions The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, even the current Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. They all left Vince hanging, right? The Rock, goodbye. Stone Cold, goodbye. Brock Lesnar said, screw you, Vince. I'm going to go play football. He didn't know what to do as he was left with nobody. And Cena says he was left with a crew of misfits and rejects. Oh, believe me, Mr. Cena, he's still stuck with a bunch of misfits and rejects. Cena says he walked up to Vince like a man and promised to not let him down if he got a chance. Cena says Vince gave him a chance. He didn't let him down. Vince gave him another chance, and another chance, and another chance. Cena says he missed birthdays, weddings, funerals for this. He isn't saying this to Vince for sympathy. He says he is stepping up, and stepping up is making your life and loving every second of it. Cena asks Vince for a chance. I will not let you down again, Vince. He then mentions, and the fact that they mentioned that, sooner or later it's going to happen, that he will become a 17-time WWE champion, this time by defeating Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. And then Drew McIntyre comes out. I really enjoyed Drew on the microphone here. He says, no, 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 no. Stop everything right now. Drew asks Cena, how dare he? How dare Vince McMahon lie to all of us? How dare you, Cena? Drew doesn't care if Cena talks about his 16 titles, his new movies, or whatever book he's currently writing. Nice little plug there for everything that Cena's doing. Drew asks how Cena can stand here and claim that he still has ruthless aggression. Drew gets in Vince's face and says, this is what ruthless aggression looks like. Drew says Cena's time is up, and his time is now. I like that line. Very, very typical, but I liked it. Drew says, like Austin, The Rock, and Lesnar, Cena can leave. Baron Corbin then comes out and reminds us how this guy is complete garbage. By the way, why is Baron Corbin still dressed in a fucking suit that he got from Men's Warehouse? Really? He's not the GM anymore. And he's still dressed in a vest and slacks and dress shoes as if he's going to some fucking prom. Can we get the fucking leather pants back? Can we get the metalhead Baron Corbin back, or is it too late for that? It's probably too late for that. Nobody gives a fuck about him anyway. Baron Corbin comes out and says that he isn't the type to have a lawyer on speed dial, but if he did, he and Vince could agree that giving him the title shot is best for business. Finn Balor interrupts, and Balor says, I gotta be honest, he's a little tired, he says, of being left out of these types of conversations. Balor says to the three in the ring that they all make claims to a lot of things, but he's the only one here who's ever been Universal Champion. Vince then finally speaks. Vince says Balor has extraordinary agility. Vince says he has tremendous speed. He's got it all. But against Lesnar and all this beef, he points to everybody in the ring, Balor is a great competitor, but Vince doesn't know. You don't know what? You already know. You knew ever since the guy stepped foot on Monday Night Raw. You weren't doing anything with this fucking guy. And then out came the line that pretty much set the tone for the entire fucking show. Balor says, you never believed in me, Vince. You never believed in me, but the fans do. Balor knows Vince is stubborn and nothing he says will change Vince's mind, so how about Balor shows him? He drops Corbin, attacks Corbin. Drew then attacks Cena. Balor turns around to a Claymore kick from Drew, and then Drew McIntyre gives a Claymore to John Cena. Laid everybody out. Drew McIntyre's looking at Vince McMahon, smiling. Vince is happy. He says he likes all of this. So he says, let's find out who's going to face Lesnar with a fatal four-way tonight, and that's what we're going to do. And that's it. Fatal four-way announced for the end of the show. Then all of a sudden, after this entire melee happens in the ring, Jinder Mahal is backstage. He stops Vince McMahon. For what? I don't know. Shanti. Jinder Mahal wanted to reaffirm to Vince McMahon how shitty he is. Complimenting him on his suit. Jinder is a little confused as to why he wasn't considered for the Fatal 4-Way. Confused? What are you confused about? You're a fucking loser. You're the modern-day failure raha. I don't understand what you're confused about. You were in the Mixed Match Challenge with fucking Alicia Fox, he says. I was in the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge. Really? This is what you're going to come to Vince McMahon with as a way to propose yourself or give Vince McMahon a proposition to be in a Universal Championship match. You know, if Jinder Mahal was coming to me for a job interview, right? And he sat down in front of me with his little get up there, and he looks at me in the eye. Well, JD, I was in the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge. I'd kick him out of my fucking office and yell, "Next! You're not qualified for the position, sir. Kindly leave and fuck off." So Vince tells Jinder, you know what? I'm going to give you a pick of any 4 superstars, or any of the 4 superstars who are just in the ring. And if you can beat one of them tonight, you will take their place at the Royal Rumble. So Jinder picks Finn, and Vince wishes him good luck. Good luck on staying awake during a Jinder Mahal match, everybody. The Riot Squad versus Bayley, Natalya, and we seen the debut of Nikki Cross. Now, they did mention on commentary, for everybody's like, oh, well, JD, why is Nikki Cross on Raw, man? Listen, clowns, they made mention that Nikki Cross and all the NXT talent will be spread out on Raw and SmackDown Live, and they will find out where they fit best. And where they fit, they will end up on that show. So they're all going to be spread out for the time being on both brands. They deviated away from everything that they've done already. So, whatever. I don't fucking know. This company is a complete fucking mess. So, Nikki Cross looked good. She's got a ton of charisma. She looks great. She looked out of place here, but man, I'm really excited if Nikki Cross ever gets up off the ground and we get that title off of Ronda Rousey, and the title is in the hands of someone who's actually on the fucking show, one of the regulars on this show and not named Ronda Rousey. I'd love to see a Ruby Riot versus Nikki Cross program for the women's title, man. That's something that I could really get behind, man. They went to battle in NXT a few times, but I'd like to see it on the main roster, man. Both women now much more mature. Ruby Riot really coming into her own. One of the best things in that women's division in total. I'd like to see it. The ending of this match scene, we had Cross yelling out on the apron again. Cross nails a crossbody to Riot on the floor from the apron. Liv nails Cross, rolls her back into the ring. Liv follows and Cross catches her kick. Liv counters and rolls Cross up for a 2 count. She then hits that swinging neck breaker, that implant neck breaker off the top rope. Bayley comes in. Nikki Cross positioned Liv Morgan for the elbow drop, and Bayley hit a beautiful elbow drop off the top rope for the pin. She pinned Liv Morgan. Bayley, Nikki Cross, and Natalya win in a 6-woman tag. I mean, this match has occurred with literally every woman on the roster. Alicia Fox, done. Mickie James, done. Nikki Cross, done. Ember Moon, done. Dana Brooke, done. Jesus fucking Christ. Can we now, being that we got all the fucking substitutes out of the way, move on? Jinder Mahal versus Finn Balor. No reason to go over this. You guys know the end result here. Finn Balor wins with a coup de grace. Triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. We had Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I really didn't watch most of this match. I just didn't give a fuck. I'm being completely honest with you. I truly didn't give a shit. Dean Ambrose is absolutely fucking miserable in this heel role. It had so much promise, completely wasted. I just don't care. Bobby Lashley has the charisma of a fucking box of Chinese white rice. The guy is completely miserable, absolutely god-awful in every sense of the word. I don't know how anybody looks at this guy and has anything good to say about him. I really don't. He sucked as a babyface. He's fucking terrible as a heel. The guy's got absolutely no value to me or anybody on this fucking show. If I had the stroke of a magic pen, this guy would be on the unemployment line. I got people fucking tweeting me, oh, but JD, he's an Army veteran. He's a TNA champion. He's an ECW champion. And I'm looking at these people complaining to me about Bobby Lashley after I'm complaining about Bobby Lashley. And I'm thinking to myself, TNA champion? US champion? Who the fuck cares? TNA champion. Are you fucking kidding me? The fucking car wipes that I bought at Walmart today are worth more than fucking TNA's title. You fucking kidding me? US title. Who the fuck cares? Then they mentioned, he was an ECW champion. I had to correct some fucking idiot on social media. No, you mean the WWECW championship. Really? Really? Now, this is what we're basing Bobby Lashley's value on. Are you kidding me? That reign is as worthless as a fucking three-piece nugget on the McDonald's dollar menu. Any more good ones? Here's a tip. Shut the fuck up when talking about Bobby Lashley. The guy's fucking worthless. He wins the Intercontinental Championship here. Leo Rush got involved twice. We're going to name him Leo the Pussy Rush because all he does is instigate, run away. He does a backflip. He runs away again, and then sometimes he gets caught. The guy's a fucking coward. Well, he's a heel, right? But I mean, how many times is he going to run away, instigate, talk shit, run away? You know, at the end of it all, someone's going to label you a fucking pussy. Enough with the antics. You're not making Bobby Lashley look any better. Anyway, we had a frog splash by Rollins here. Or actually, Rollins with an insecurity to Trashley. Rollins goes on, hits a frog splash to Lashley. Ambrose runs in to steal the pin, but Lashley kicks out at 2. Fans are going, this is awesome. Ambrose goes to the top, but Rollins runs up and meets him. Rollins looks for a superplex, but Lashley gets Rollins on his shoulder. Ambrose flies off the top. The sequence sees Rollins get the upper hand, but Rush interferes for a second time. Lashley takes advantage and spears Ambrose for the win and the Intercontinental Championship. One positive out of this is Rollins and now Ambrose are without the Intercontinental Championship. That feud was completely decimated by WWE Creative. It was never about the Intercontinental Championship. And the fact that Bobby Lashley won the Intercontinental Championship here now pretty much kills the fact of Seth Rollins getting the title and getting revenge on Dean Ambrose. So now this means that Rollins' stock in winning the Royal Rumble actually was enhanced by this loss tonight, by giving Lashley the Intercontinental Championship. That's the only positive out of this. Lashley as the Intercontinental Champion, fuck me. Fuck me. That is a god-awful fucking decision. Will the title make Bobby Lashley look any better than he already does? Absolutely not. The title was fucking dead to begin with. The title was dead ever since WWE took it from Seth Rollins the first time. Then they gave it back to him, and he lost it to Dean Ambrose. The title was never the same since the summer of Rollins. Number one. Number two, Bobby Lashley is so unappealing that anybody he feuds with as a heel is going to be that much more unimportant just because they're in the ring with Bobby Lashley. The guy's fucking terrible. He is god-awful. There's only one saving grace in this, folks. Bobby Lashley kills the title to a point where Kevin Owens comes back, gets revenge on Bobby Lashley, wins the title, comes back as a babyface, and then at that point we have a true Intercontinental Champion once again. Keeping my fingers crossed on that. Either him or Sami Zayn. One or the other. One or the other. But the mid-card in WWE is now even more terrible than it was before. Who's Bobby Lashley going to feud with that you want to see with the Intercontinental Championship? Or Elias is another one. Get it off Trashley and put it on Elias. There you go. Who cares? The guy is fucking god-awful. Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, before we get the fuck out of here, being that you guys know Finn Balor won the Universal Championship number 1 contender match. I don't need to go over what happened there because we talked about it already in nauseam in the opening of the show. I guess I'll end with this. Alexa Bliss had another moment of bliss on this show. Now, there was a staffer backstage knocking on Alexa Bliss's door, and he had a latte for her. Or in this case, if it was me, it would be a caramel macchiato with an extra shot of espresso. He opens the door because he's knocking 3 times, nobody's answering. He walks in, and Alexa Bliss is standing there topless, which I'm sure is going to be a gif all over social media tomorrow. She's standing there topless, but she's covering herself with what she has for a top. And Bliss yells at the guy and tells him to leave. She just stands there shocked. The expression Michael Cole and Corey Graves gave when they cut back to the commentary team was absolutely priceless. Corey Graves was holding on to Michael Cole's shoulders like, dude, look at that. We're going to see tit. And Michael Cole's like, It's like they know that they seen it before and they were shocked to see it again. And I'm sure everybody's seen it. That's why she has this fucking talk show. Anyway, we have Paul Heyman. Anything he said was inconsequential. Who cares? Who cares? So, Bliss says Vince McMahon revealed the women's tag team titles a few weeks back, and he didn't say when they would debut. Now, Bliss has the scoop, I guess, to make this irrelevant show somewhat important. She says 3 Raw teams and 3 SmackDown teams will compete in the Elimination Chamber for the Women's Championships. Now, the new titles were revealed on the show, and they look absolutely gorgeous. I love them. They look much different than anything else on the main roster, and they look much better than the men's tag team titles. Unbelievably better. But I don't know who these teams are, but apparently it's going to be at the Elimination Chamber. Now, I like this news. One, you're thinking ahead. You're planting the seeds for the Elimination Chamber. You make something that is more than a month away that much more important. I like that, and I can appreciate that. Number 2, I told you so. This confirmed, being that it's going to be 3 Raw teams and 3 SmackDown teams, that the titles are going to be dual branded. This pretty much confirms that the women's rosters, I'm hoping, are going to be as one. And this is great news. Now, the only negative here about this is, and if that's the case, it's going to work beautifully, not only for the tag team division or the tag team division that they do set up, but it's going to be great for the women's division because it's going to lead to a unification of the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships at WrestleMania. I can only hope. And again, I'll tell you then, I told you so. Because it's 2 years in the making now that I mentioned this. The only thing I didn't like about this is that this was such a big announcement, and this is the second time they announced this, and it just came off as unimportant. Yeah, it's going to be in the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, the titles look great. But first time Vince McMahon announced that the titles were coming, dressed as Santa Claus. And 2, the titles were unveiled on this piece of shit show, Moment of Bliss. They could have did a much better job at unveiling the titles and having a big ceremony, giving me the teams that are legitimately going to be there. How are the teams going to get there? You know, how are you going to determine who are the teams to be inside the Elimination Chamber? Does this involve NXT? You know, having it announced on this show was kind of like, oh, here they are. Really didn't feel all that important. So that's all I could say about that. But that wasn't even the best thing on this fucking segment of the show. Otis Dojovic of Heavy Machinery comes out and he just creeps up behind the women's titles while Alexa is listening to Paul Heyman speak. Comes out, he's breathing heavily, and it looks like he wants the women's tag team titles. And he's doing his shtick. Tucker, whatever the fuck he says. I don't know what he was saying. You know, stakes and weights. Oompa, whatever the fuck the guy was talking. I don't know. Tucker Knight comes out and he ushers his partner to the back with a bunch of officials, and he's saying he's sorry to Alexa Bliss. I'm sorry for his behavior. And then he starts yelling, pretty lady, pretty lady, pretty lady. Like the guy was on fucking crack cocaine. And it just meandered out to the fucking stage, and he didn't know where he was. Now, that was I want to shit all over this segment, but I can't. Because A, I love Heavy Machinery. B, I love Otis. And people actually enjoyed this, man. That's what's going to get them over. That's what's going to get Heavy Machinery over. Otis's bizarre approach and his bizarre charisma is really going to bounce off the fans. And the fans are going to enjoy that. This got a decent reaction. And if they allow him to be Otis and they push them as a solid tag team, Heavy Machinery is going to be very good. And Otis has something that a lot of people on this show don't have. Humor. Charisma. And they're a decent tag team at that. Let them go. Don't hinder them and don't make them a comedy act. Now, watching Otis do this, the first thing that popped into my mind is that this guy's going to be a fucking comedy act, and this guy's doomed already just based on what they did as far as an introduction here. Speaking of introductions, no Lars Sullivan. Everybody else that was called up was on this show. Nikki Cross was in a match. Lacey Evans was shown backstage talking to other divas. EC3 shown on camera during the Vince McMahon waiting by the office skit. And Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker, were here during Moment of Bliss. No Lars Sullivan. I was hoping for Lars in the main event, but no word on Lars Sullivan. A complete mystery as to where this guy went. And as you guys know, the number one contender, by the way, after all this shit happened with Otis, the main event was being announced with Paul Heyman and Alexa Bliss still on stage. Very fucking weird. Very weird. It was very mismanaged. Poor execution on everything. Really. Otis pretty much saved that entire thing. Just because of his humor. And as you guys know, Finn Balor won the Fatal 4-Way, beat John Cena, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin to become the number one contender for the Universal Championship. He beat and pinned John Cena with a coup de grace after the match. Cena takes the mic and says, "Where he comes from, you fight to earn respect." Vince McMahon told everyone tonight he didn't believe in you, but the fans do. For what it's worth, you have one more person that now believes in you. Me. Cena then tells Balor to give him hell at the Royal Rumble. This is why I said in the beginning, if they don't go through with a hot shot title change, what the fuck was the purpose of this and the 2 weeks to follow in the build towards Brock Lesnar and the Royal Rumble match for the Universal title? I would not be surprised if they take the title off of Lesnar. And they did mention he's in training camp. His UFC thing might be coming very, very soon. So they might want to take the title off him so he can concentrate on the UFC. Balor may be the recipient of the Universal Championship. We'll find out soon. That's all I got for tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I made you laugh. I hope I brought some common sense to your fucking evenings/mornings whenever you listen to this. Thank you guys so much for everything. Like I said, please hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 2,500 thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on social media, man. JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on Twitch. JD from New York. Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. And if you missed anything that I uploaded previously this past weekend, man, Off the Script is live. Parts 1, 2, and 3. We go over more AEW. We go over Lars Sullivan and his mystery. Becky apparently is not seen as a big draw for WWE. All that plus so much more. Resident Evil 2, the remake. I do the demo walkthrough for you guys. And anything else that you might have missed during the week is there on the channel. Please go back and check if you did miss anything. And lots of content for you guys to follow up on. Thank you so much. I will see you guys tomorrow for SmackDown Live. Apparently, we're getting another Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas match. Another one of those things that WWE really is doing to, I guess, kind of combat AEW. So for the goons out there, yeah, WWE right now is in competition with AEW, whether you want to believe it or not. They might not be up and running yet, but everything they're doing spells desperation. So we've seen it tonight, and we're going to see it continue on SmackDown and in the weeks to come, man. You're going to start seeing guys who have not been pushed miraculously just show up on television out of nowhere. But I'll see you guys on SmackDown Live. Until then, like I said, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you all for SmackDown Live. I'll talk to you later.